there's two things. One is it needs to communicate very clearly and boldly the amazing things that have been happening in Rio over the last decade. There's an entire momentum, a resurgence of the creative industry here, of a sort of karaoke resurgence that's taking place. So it needs to communicate that to the world. And the other thing is it needs to work with the global media to get rid of the old stories of what Rio was. And so in terms of the new things, I think the big opportunity is in the context of the World Cup Games and the redevelopment of the Port District of Rio, where they'll be developing a new creative district and tourism district, is to really work carefully in a kind of micro-surgical way to make sure that what happens there uniquely expresses and becomes a location for the creative industry and engages the people, the residents of the port area in Providencia and other areas to create this new story of how Rio redevelops itself into this new kind of karaoke renaissance. The other side of it is, with all these international events coming here, Rio needs to work to disprove the myths about the city and its problems. So there's this old myth of Rio as a city controlled by drug gangs and favelas. So much has been done to deal with the problems of the favelas. In fact, the work has been so successful here that it's not paralleled by any city in the world. So Rio has to work in a very concerted way to re-educate the global media about the successes that it's had since the Favela Bairro project, since the pacification, the UPP program, to demonstrate to the global media that Rio is actually a leader in helping to transform favelas into formalized middle-class neighborhoods, way ahead of the other cities in the world that have problems of slums and informality. Well, what's interesting is, first is, has there been a language created for people who live in Rio? And I'm talking at all segments of society, not just the educated middle class. Has there been a language created for people to own and feel proud of the momentum that's happening, the rebirth that is taking place in the city, to recognize that this is something very important and that it's going to grow? Or are most people in the city sort of thinking in the old mode about Rio and its potential? So the other aspect of it is one needs to feel more proud and give more attention in communicating and marketing the city about the warmth of the people, the friendliness of the people, the hospitality of the people. There are these old stereotypes about Rio and the people. It's very sexified. It's all about sex, sex, sex. There's also a soul and a heart in the karaoke culture. And I think Rio gains a great deal by communicating to people in the world that you don't come here to just have, this sexualized experience and then avoid getting ripped off by favela kids. There's kind of, this sits in the back of the minds. In fact, you come here, people are friendly, they look after you, you have dinner with them, you enjoy building friendships here. You go to exciting new places. You go do sport together. There's lots of things that you see an art show. You go to theater in Rio. You do many things in Rio that makes it, a center of culture in the Western Hemisphere.